Shut up and sit down.
Right. A little bit more decaling. So the fairings had a chance to start drying down. So whilst that's the case, I think we'll put on the rest of the decals on that side. What else have I got? I've got a couple more to go on the rear seat. And I think I'm done on the fuel tank. Let's just have a quick check. Yeah, I'm done on the fuel tank. So that can have a gloss coat later on. Okay. So what have we got on the fairing? I've got a Goodyear to go on that side. A Goodyear to go on there as well. So I might as well get them all knocked out. So we can drop that out the way. And go for the number one number. So pretty much everything we've got there. Let's get the old tweezers and start the soaking process on them. What's that? It's a Champion and a bell ray and a power valve. La 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 la. Champion and power valve. Might as well get all of those soaked because we can blitz this and get it done. Let's get some micro set out. Start brushing the side of the fairing. Give everything a larrapin on there and along there. Because I reckon with a bit of luck I should be able to get this whole fairing done today. That's my plan. He says, optimistically I know, but that's what we're doing all of that long. That's the first of the big ones. Let's get me old decal moving device. Cool, happy with that. Straight on. No messing about on that one. Love that, it's gone straight in there. Champion will be next because that goes in front of the numero uno. Make sure we get it at the same height as the other one. Like so. A little bit lower. Like so. Bell ray over there. Like that. Middle of the M. Over thereabouts. On that side it's actually the first leg of the A. So therefore the Champion is parallel with the edge of that. About there. Perfect. Straight in. That's what we want to see. So a little Larapperoni with a power valve. Goes just along there. that. Comes down by the rivet. Working that. So in that short time, excuse me, all of those have gone on. Numbers 22 are for the rear canopy, or the rear seat pan even, you know what I meant. So the cannons can come on. Like so. What else do we want? Slam that one on, bottom part of the fairing. Right down there's the air intake for the radiator. So that's that one. And we've got all of those. That's for the seat pod. So if I do the two I've got there, the cannon and that one, whilst that's drying, I can then do the Goodyear and the number 1 on the back of there. Then that can be put away. And then we can come back at the fairing and finalise the fairing, and everything can have a gloss coat tonight. And we can build a boat tomorrow. Please call the men in white. Doctor's note required. Right. So sometimes the cannon appeared and sometimes it didn't. Well, on my bike, it's going to appear because I like decals. And as many as I can put on, I'm going to put on. So we can have some of that. Kenny Roberts has been pinstriped. It's got to mat him down shortly. It's got a couple of little detail pieces to finish on him, and then I can mat him right down, just the levers and his face, and then keep his crash helmet gloss. And then he can be suitably done. There, cannon can go there, and another cannon can go on that one. Like so. These are really going on quite quickly now. There you go. And that just leaves then the snorkel, as I used to call it on my bikes. Don't know why, just did. Seemed appropriate to me. Or a schnoz, whatever you want to call this little area, a scoop. For some reason I used to call it a snorkel. No idea why. But then why do they call the mudguard on a racing bike a hugger? Answers on a postcard. Please. Go. So that's all of that. So lid for the set can go back on. Let's get some sole on there for a moment. Shove that over there out the way and get some micro sole on the case. And start dressing these up. And you'll notice I tend to just dab this, because if you brush, the temptation then is you brush the decal away from where you actually placed it, whereas a gentle dab achieves the same result, but you actually leave the decal in the place you put it. Move that out of the way. In case you wonder what that is, that's my big glob of white tack that I've been using to hold the fairing in place. But now that I've got the main snorkel decal going on, I need to move it. Right, just dab at it. All I want it to do, oh god, I knew I'd do that. All I want it to do is start sitting itself where I want it. So I just need to quickly move this back. Just a slight twitch there, and it went a bit peaked on. That's it. Well, that's what we want. Just like that. Just sit the numbers straight because it's a bit Brahms. There you go. Don't want it Brahms, do we? In case you wonder what that is, Brahms and Liszt. I'll leave you to do the rhyme. And then a little dab-a-rooney in there. Dab-a-rooney in there. You get what I mean. Lovely, lovely jubbly. To let the sole do its thing. So whilst that's doing its thing, we can come onto the seat pan. Okay, so that's a pretty pointy stick. I've got a Goodyear to come along here, matching that one, and then the other side, one underneath, and then at the back, little red number 1. Okay, so that's what we're doing there. Let's get the old tweezers and get them on. Tweezers again for that one. Da 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 da. There you go. It only leaves them ones. The front of the fairing and the front brake calipers. So all in all, we are coming together towards the end of this build quite nicely. So let's put a little bit of set along here. like so. Bum, bum, ba, da, bum, bum. Da, 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 da. Let's move my pointy stickeroo out of the way. I must admit, I'm pleasantly pleased with this little, pardon me, with this little bike. Actually come together really well. I managed to get a little bit of race dirt on it as well, so happy with that. I just need to mat Kenny down. Let's have a quick shufty at that. Yeah, that's ready. Like so. Come down the way. Just like that. Bosh. I like that when a plan comes together. Same on the other side there. Let's give that a little bit more. Just give that a nudge in the right direction. Just over a ferrule's width away. So I just want it to come down and over. Just like that. Cool. Happy with that. And then a little number 1 on the back of that. God, that's tiny. Try to get this in a position where I can actually hold it without shaking. Such is the ways of my hands. And I've landed that right on a blob of water. It will come over. There you go, just wig that away with the edge of my thumb. Like that. A little fiddly, but just persevere with it. There you go. Just like that. So that is now the seat pan finished. I am a happy little Festa, which now gives me the opportunity to then finish off the front fairing. So all of those have had a soak, or can have a soak. We've got a compound curve coming up as well. Kenny Roberts is drying. I've got to bring the bike over because I've got to put a decal right in there. So that'll be a job for the visor. Try and get the number 1 as central as central as I can. Really doesn't need a lot. Like that. See, I'll leave that to settle, because again the temptation is to faff, and you know it's not bronzed, so I'm not going to worry about it. The hardest part now is trying to knock everything, or try not to knock everything. But we'll get there. Just with a little deft. Brushing. Is that about equal distance between the top and the bottom? According to the picture it is, so we need to come away and over. Come down your little gate. That's it. I want you to do it. You almost want to come over about there. I think I've liked you there actually. Like that. One letter underneath the rivet. Perfect place to find to line it up. Happy days. It's good enough for me. I'll stick with that. Have me some of that. Like that. Fairing finished. Get in. Last decals now with the Yamaha on the brake discs. And yeah, that does say Yamaha because I can see it with my visor down. Like that. Blimey, that's tiny. Make sure I'm putting that the right way round. On that side, you're reading the Yamaha along the fork line. About there. Job done. So that's that decaled. That's the fairing decaled. I think there's two I've got to put on Mr. Roberts. I'll just double check. Yeah, there's an AGV there, and on the front of his noggin. Up top, Bosch, and a Goodyear. I reckon bung one on his chin and all. Let's have a look what we got. One's about as much as a chocolate teapot. Can use that one. So that one can be used. So we'll have ourselves some of that. How do I do one up on his chest? Could have another one up there, so that's that. And a Goodyear on the front of his helmet. Crash helmet. Stop it. Stop it, you lot. I'm going to have classroom humour. Not on my videos. Behave. That's that done. Tiniest of Goodyears. And I think a tiny little AGV on his leathers. Might as well use it. I've printed it, so I might as well use the bloody thing. Straight on the keyboard. Like so. Back round. Just like that. Cool. And that lets us sort that out. So that's going on his noggin. Like so. They're roughly in place because I've got Goodyear to go underneath it. And also his visor is going to be in place. So we need to take all of that into account. Let's swing you up there. I reckon you're going to be about there ish. Ba-da-bum. Do you know, I reckon that's about good enough. It's a bit dry, a bit bronzed there though, isn't it? So let's try and get that in the level with his bugle. Have a bit of that. Have you some of that? Get in. And then an AGV just above his chest there. So all of these little greeblies can come off now. Don't need any of those. Love it when a plan comes together, I know that much. There's a little AGV there, but just above his left tit. Like so. Don't need them. Happy days, mate. Happy days. Must glue his eyes and all. Looks like he's gone blind. Bless him. Little bit on his chest there. Right there. And that's actually quite high up on his leathers, that one was. I never really noticed that when he was racing. But it's around about there. Yeah, just level with the front of the shoulder of his leathers above his name. Like that. That'll do. So that's Kenny. They called him Kenny Rogers then. What the hell was I thinking? Why would I be thinking of Kenny Rogers? First level of madness. Right. Let's have a quick looky-loo to see how this is all settling down. Oh, it's beginning to go down nicely. A little more. Can go in here. Start sitting you down in there. Add me some of that. Really coming along quite nicely now. And not let all of this, I was about to say Festa then, but yeah, agitate itself or whatever overnight, and it's gonna get all the last little bits sat down where I need them to be, so that I can then put a gloss coat on it all. So let's put that up underneath, and that is the fairing all done. Ignore the little yellow line under there, that's just a tiny little touch up with a pen. The Sharpie will do that. That's just where the decal didn't quite come or stretch far enough, but I'm not too fussed. Not too fussed about that at all. A little dab on there with some microsol, just to start sitting that down. A little dab on the front of his crash helmet with some microsol to sit that down. And that, my friends, is the decals done on Kenny Roberts the rider and Kenny Roberts' bike. So we're going to give that a coat of clear, 2 times shine, bit of pledge. The fairings, the tank, the rear seat pan. Kenny Roberts is going to be matte varnished so that it starts bringing this all down from gloss. I shall leave his crash helmet gloss, his face is going to be matted, and then it will be on with his visor. He can then go on the bike with the tank and seat pan, and then we'll put the fairing on the last. That will then be the Kenny Roberts bike and the Sheene bikes both built. We can then start looking at the diorama. Just a simple racetrack base with a sound card, little bit of sound trickery on it, and we'll go with that. So I'm going to pause, let this all dry, and then when we come back it will be gloss varnish and assembling the rest of the bike. Okay, and as you can see, them exhausts blued nicely, so I'm pleased with those. Yeah, so we'll be ready to go on that. See you in a bit. Hello again. Right, time to build the bike up, I think. So that's currently what we have there. So I'm going to be putting the tank and the rear seat pan on and the rider today. Also going to be putting the screen on the fairing as well. Now that's had a gloss coat on it. That was dipped in clear. It's a pot of Pledge multi-surface wax. I then dip it in, put it under a pot, wick off the excess, and you're left with a rather nice sexy glass looking fairing with a clear coat cover on it. So we can nip off a piece of sprue now, because we don't need that. I tend to keep them on whilst I dip it. I'll still get a pair of tweezers, stick it in the pot, let it soak, shake the fairing off, and yeah, on it goes. So we're happy with that. I'll just give that a little dress up with me sanding stick just to get rid of any unnecessary sprue mark. Let's get a thin skinny stick on there. Just want to lose that little edge where the piece was. There you go. Get rid of that. And then we'll put a bit of canopy glue on there to glue the fairing in place. Fairing the screen even. So that's what we've got. That's the fairing all decaled up and everything's gone back. It's had a nice gloss coat, and then inside a coat of matte black. Okay, and we're going to be dropping the glass on top of the fairing like so. Okay, now what I tend to use is what's commonly known as canopy glue. What it is it's Revell Contactor Clear. PVA also works, as well as a bit of Pledge. Same floor care finish that covers that, the 2 times more shine or multi-surface wax. Paint it around the edge, let it sit for a minute, whack it on, and the clear will tack it into place. But being that I've got some Contactor Clear, that's what I'll be using today. And I just go around the edge. There's a little indent just inside there where a couple of the prongs sit. So I want to get a covering in there. And then I go round the edge of the fairing like so, brushing from the inside to the outside like so. When this stuff dries clear, but what it will do is it will actually hold the clear screen in place quite nicely. So I tend to put these on and then I'll leave this overnight before I actually attach the fairing. Okay, but for the time being it's going to enable me to actually put this screen in place. So we go like so, and that is it. Okay, now a lot of people would have done that and then tried to fit this straight to the bike, and then the screen will keep popping out. Let the contactor clear do its thing. You've glued it on, let the glue dry. Okay, so just put that somewhere out the way and forget about it. Come back to it tomorrow, it's still going to be there, but you want it to dry. No point in messing around with it whatsoever. It's only going to end in heartache. You can concentrate on other things. So, I'm going to be dropping the tank on the bike today. So I'm just going to rest that in just to make sure everything lines up where I want it to, which it does quite happily. What I'll do is I'm actually going to use contactor clear on that as well. Now, there is a reason I could use extra thin, but if ever I need to dismantle the bike for any particular reason, with it held in place with this stuff, it's just a matter of prizing it off. And it's a hell of a lot easier doing it that way than it is trying to break the seal of extra thin. Okay. All you want to do is just gently hold it in place, okay? I'll be doing the same with the seat. So again, I'm just whacking a little bit contactor clear on the pins of the seat. And then we can get Kenny Roberts on there then. Okay, so I'm going to go for the rider. I'm going to slide his hand on this side because I know that's how it goes. Get him over in place, reasonably in place. Lift the tank back up between his knees, because it is a bit of a delicate process. If I remember rightly, I could have actually done it that way. Seems a bit Eve Robinson, but it's the easiest way to put him on. Get one hand on the handlebars and you're just jiggling him into place. He will go. It just takes a little bit of fettling. There you go. I think he's going in. Same on that side. Just pull the handlebar towards his hand. Let him pop in place. Because once he starts going in, he's in. And then you can drop the tank down then. It looks harder than it actually is. There you go. He's just starting to pop in place. So you can be a little heavy-handed, but not too heavy-handed. Okay, then I can pop the tank down from his knees to get that in place. Okay. So there is method to my madness. Just get the end of a paintbrush up under his leg, pop the back of the tank down, like so. And that nice resounding click was the tank going in. Let's just make sure my front wheel's still lined up. Da 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 da. Just a little stubborn on the back end there, but it is going like that. Just like that. And then we can poke the seat pan under his bum. Now things will move about a little bit when you're doing stuff like this, but try not to worry too much. It will all go into place. Just bring my light down so I can see what I'm doing. Just like that. Lovely jubbly. Yeah. Just need to get that to sit. Like so. And he's now beginning to take shape. So I could fiddle with him for hours, but I want to get him sat reasonably accurate, okay? Whilst the glue goes off, then I can fiddle with him. Okay, but let's just sit him on the bike and go from there. Just like that. So that's Kenny on the bike. Now, just got to wait for the fairing to dry. Right, fairing's now had time to dry. So, Kenny's on the bike, as we saw in our last episode, so he's sat there quite happy. So we've got the fun and games now of putting the fairing on there. If you remember rightly, I'd done the wheel back when I put the forks on the bike, and I did that to hold the forks in place whilst the glue dried, and said back then I will need to take the wheel off to get the fairing on. You'll see why when I've taken this screw right out. Move that out of the way. If you was to go to position this on the bike, you'll notice that the front wheel will not go through the fairing. Okay, so you need to pop the front wheel off, put the fairing on, and then pop the front wheel back on again. Okay, now it can be a bit of a bind to get this off, but it will come off. Just needs a little bit of persuasion. There you go. See? I've only glued one side of the mudguard in at this stage, just so that I could get the fairing on. Okay, so I'll move the wheel out of the way, and you should then find that that'll all fit through the fairing, like so. Okay. So I need a little bit of persuasion, a little bit of bending, a little bit of tweaking, but just pull the forks forward a little bit at a time and start sliding the bike in. Okay, so ignore me if I go a little quiet. It's just that I want to make sure that I'm not fouling anything as I slide it through. See, now they've just popped through quite happily. There's plenty of giving them. And then you can start sliding the fairing around the bike, lining up the front peg hole into the front section of the fairing like so. Yeah. And then you want to splay the edges apart. See that tiny hole there? It needs to go on that peg. So you just splay it open just enough to start nudging the peg in place. And it's the same the other side. So it can be a little tricky, but it will go. Okay. So I'm just going to use my tweezers. Once you get one side in, the other side will pop in as well. Okay, so it is delicate, but it will fit. There's one side gone in, and then it's just a matter of persuading the other side to comply. Like I say, she'll just pop straight in. Front edge gone in. Always feels a little scary splaying the bike apart to do this, but once it's in, it's in. It's just persuading it. It is really fiddly. It will take a couple of attempts to get it just as you want it. It will go just like that on that side, just like that on that side. See? And that's your fairing in place. And then you've just got two tiny little silver ones then just up in the way that you can grab with your tweezers. Just make sure my front peg's in, yep. And then you just grab those with your tweezers like so, and then just give them a little bit of persuasion and pop them into place, just like that. See, let's do the same on the other side there. There you go. And that is the fairing in place. And then I just go around them with a bit of extra fin on all the pinholes just to get everything stuck. So I should do that now. And that just sucks the glue, the glue through. Let that weld that into place. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. That's the first one. Just make sure that that's staying where I want it. That's the second one. A little bit of bike dirt. Add to the fun and frivolity. Yeah, that's in situ. Like so, and like so. So that's the fairing on. I'm just going to let that settle for a minute or two whilst we get that sorted out. Let that bond a bit better. And then we can come back at it and get the front wheel back on. And then that is this bike done. Love it when a bike comes together like that. And it is a solid little kit. It really is. You know, it's a nice little bike, that. I'm quite pleased with it. So all that hard work on the exhaust and you're never going to see them again. That's the only downside. But I suppose you could display it with fairing off or whatever, however you choose, but I like the fairings on, to be honest. Start massaging the front wheel back in place, like so. Let gravity do its thing, wherever you can. Just drop your brake discs in. Wherever you can. It might mean rotating the wheel round and a little bit of fettling, but it'll go. Like that. There you go. It just pings the disc in place. Bob's your uncle. And just pop the other peg of the mudguard in place. In the fork, and then once the screw's back in, I'll just drop a bit of extra fin back on the mudguard. Boom, happy days. And that is a Kenny Roberts bike built. So we're going to be moving on, setting the dio a lot quicker than I thought we would actually, if I'm honest. Have some of that. And that is Kenny Roberts on his YZ 500. Happy days. Just remember now, I've got a little peg to put some extra fin in. Just in there. Same in there. And that is done. Whew. Just like that. I like that. It's a nice little bike. I'm happy with how his feet are on the pegs there, as you can see, just sat in the correct place. Line the hole up in the tyre, ready to stick my pin up in there. And that is going to be ready to go with a Barry Sheene bike. Let's lay them down so you can see them in comparison. Okay, so we've got the two bikes built, and it's just now a matter of going in and doing the diorama.